You ready?
I think so.
Well, it's too late now. This is the John Peckman podcast. I am John Peckman. We are in the podcast studio of Connecticut Valley School of Music and Dance in lovely downtown Portland, Connecticut, just over the bridge. Look left. And today we are here with Monkees drummer. It's true. Monkees drummer, Connecticut's own Mr. Rich Dart is here. There he is. Rich Dart.
Hi, everyone.
Yeah, see? Rich Dart.
I'm here.
Yeah. So how the Monkees, and if you don't know who the Monkees are with two E's, then I guess you don't know. You should know. I don't know what you've been doing with your life, but the Monkees, how, and then we'll go back to, I guess the beginning or whatever. How does somebody from Connecticut around here end up in the Monkees? How does that happen? How did that happen?
Well, it started way back in the old days. 2006, I think, 2005. I was working at the Goodspeed Opera House.
Okay.
I was a sub drummer.
Oh, cool.
So the main drummer was a guy named Sal Raniello, and then the next guy under him was a guy named Steve Collins, and they would split the book, and whenever one of those guys couldn't make it, I showed up and did the show. And a production of Pippin came through, and they both were on the gig because it had an extensive percussion book. There was drum set and percussion. And Sal needed somebody to cover half the gigs because he was going on this extensive family vacation.
Oh, wow.
So he asked me to do it. And my first inclination was, I hate that show. I really don't want to do it. But,
Pippin?
I mean, a gig's a gig.
Sure.
So I said yes.
I've hated every gig I've ever done. So, yeah, I know the feeling.
So literally like the next hour, I got a call from my cousin, and we're both huge Monkees fans.
Okay.
And she's like, hey, Mickey Dolenz is in Connecticut. And I said, oh, where, when? And
Yeah.
she said, he's doing a play at the Goodspeed Opera House.
Oh.
And I said, I think I just took a gig for that. And it was Pippin. He played King Charlemagne in Pippin.
Oh, wow. Oh, that's heavy. So you didn't even know that.
I didn't know that when I took the gig. And then I was like, okay, this is really cool.
Good thing that dude went on vacation.
I know, exactly. So after that was done at Goodspeed, they took it on the road for 4 months.
Oh, wow.
Because they were trying to get that to be the revival that made it to Broadway. It didn't. Okay. Another revival made it, but that one didn't. So I went on the road because they couldn't take Sal because he was contracted as the guy at Goodspeed.
Gotcha. Because you were the freelancer.
Because I was a freelancer, I got asked to do it. And what's funny is I was really nervous going in because they had this history of firing all the subs that had played the show so far.
Oh, boy.
Like the powers that be, the music director was like, nope, you're not good enough, you're fired. And I was like freaking out. And I showed up and I played the first act. Yep. And I looked at Steve Collins, who was playing the percussion book. I'm like, how'd it go? How'd it go? He's like, don't worry, the director will give you notes. And the director looks at me and goes, the musical director, Mark Hartman was his name, looks at me and goes, can I see you in the stairwell? And I'm like, oh, God.
No, he said, can I see you in the stairwell?
That's exactly what it was like. And I'm like, my career's over.
Yeah.
And
death in the stairwell.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And I walk into the stairwell and he looks at me and he goes, first of all, no notes. You played that perfect. And I was like, cool, but why am I getting fired? And he goes, secondly, I don't know if you know this or not. We're taking this on the road and I want you to be the drummer that comes with us.
After the first act?
After the first act.
I would have gotten trashed during the intermission. It just ruined the second half. And like, great. Woo!
So I went out on the road.
That's
and
great.
Mickey and I were the guys in the company that would go out and hear live music every night.
Right.
Because the rest were all like dancers and actors.
Sure.
And they would go out and eat and stuff, but they didn't care.
They're not rock and roll.
Exactly. And Mickey used to say that. He's like, we're the rock and rollers of the tour, Rich, you and I. And we got to be really, really good friends. And I asked him, because I'm always, looking for work. I said, who's playing for you now? Who's your drummer?
Yeah, right.
And he said, Sandy Gennaro. And I don't know if you know Sandy. Sandy. Yeah.
Remind me.
He's a heavyweight from the 80s.
Yep.
He got his start playing in blackjack with Michael Bolotin.
Oh, okay. Sure. New Haven Zone.
That's right.
Yep.
And then he went on to play with Cyndi Lauper, Joan Jett,
Yep.
Joe Diddley, and all these other guys. And he had been with the Monkees since the 90s.
Wow.
And he was with Mickey as a solo artist for a while. So I was like, okay, that's it. I'm not going to get that gig.
Right.
And I said, if you ever need somebody, let me know.
Sure.
Don't worry. And we went to Toronto for 6 weeks. And Mondays are usually dark on Broadway. There's no show. And when you're on tour, you're either traveling on Monday, or if you're in a certain city for more than a week, you have that night off.
Sure.
And in Toronto, we did a benefit for this program called Equity Fights AIDS.
Okay.
And it was us and the cast of Wicked that was in town as well. And what you do is all the people in the shows do songs that have nothing to do with the shows. It's just Broadway performers playing rock and roll.
So okay.
And Mickey, of course, wanted to do some Monkee songs. So the house band was the Pippin band. We were going to be the house band. And he came to me and he said, well, actually, he came into the rehearsal.
Yeah.
And he said, I'm going to do some Monkee songs. You guys know any? And the guitarist said, well, I know Last Train to Clarksville. And the keyboard player said, well, I can play Daydream Believer. And he looked at me and said, what about you, Rich? And I said, I know all of them.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, whatever. And I'm like, no, I know all of them. So he didn't believe me, but we learned like the 3 tunes that we had to learn. And then come the day of the performance, we did a sound check at the club. And he started playing this not well-known Monkees tune called Circle Sky.
Which I don't know.
Exactly. And as soon as he started playing it, I joined him. And he turned around and said, how the heck did you know that?
You're like, I told you, bro.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So he knew I knew the material. And I was like, okay, but Sandy's got the gig. So then after that, I started playing Avenue Q on Broadway.
Okay.
And
tell us what that is.
Okay, so Avenue Q was a Tony Award-winning show, got Best Musical. It beat out Wicked. Got to say that.
Okay. Cool.
And it was basically an adult version of Sesame Street.
Okay.
It was all done with puppets, and it was set up like Sesame Street, but it was as dirty as you could be.
Oh, nice.
So it was right up my alley.
Right.
And I played that on Broadway for 5 months, and then that went on tour for 2 years.
Wow.
So I signed the contract that said I would do the tour.
Wow.
And during that tour, Mickey called me.
Oh, boy.
He's like, what are you doing? And I said, I'm on the road with Avenue Q. Call me when it's done.
Ooh.
And literally the day I got home, I called him and he's like, got a gig for you in July. We're going to be playing in Maine. And I was like,
what happened to Sandy?
Okay. Well, Sandy did things he wasn't supposed to.
Oh. Wow. Can you
I love
imagine?
Sandy. I got to say, I love Sandy. He's a good friend.
Sure.
But yeah, he was doing things he wasn't supposed to.
Wow. So imagine that.
And that's how it happened.
He got fired.
Yep.
You didn't get fired.
Right. I got hired.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And then eventually my gig with Mickey as a solo artist led to me being the Monkees drummer.
Wow. That's heavy.
Yeah.
So the Mickey Dolenz show is the Mickey Dolenz show. At what point do they decide, hey, let's round everybody up?
Well, in 2011, they got back together for a big reunion. They would they would reunite like every 4 or 5 years.
Sure.
And it was Mickey, Peter, and Davey because Mike Nesmith didn't want any part of it for years.
Right. That was what we always heard.
Right.
Right.
And at that point, I was new to the band because I had joined Mickey's band in 2010. And I would have loved to have said, I want to be in it, but I had no, pull. And I didn't get in because they used Davey's band. Davey was like, it's my band.
Right.
Use my band.
Right.
And then cut to 2012. And this sounds so callous of me, but it's not. Davey dies.
Oh, boy.
And that's when they say, hey, we're going to go out on the road and Davey's not here. Let's use Mickey's band.
Whoa.
And that's what led to me being the Monkees drummer.
Wow.
Yeah. And that's when Nesmith came back into the fold.
Wow.
Yeah.
Huh. Man, that's crazy. Wow. What a crazy, weird thing.
Yeah.
Imagine that. Wow.
That's it.
Wow.
It's it in a nutshell.
Yeah. Where is it based from? Where do you rehearse? Do you rehearse? Like,
okay. So for the Monkees, the band, which is pretty much the same as Mickey's band, we have a few added members. we're from all over. So I'm in Connecticut.
Mm-hmm.
The keyboard player is from Los Angeles,
Okay.
Originally from New York. The guitar player lives in Florida. Before that, he lived in Nashville, and before that, he lived in Long Island.
Wow.
The bass player is from Nashville. We have a pedal steel player who's from Nashville.
Okay.
We have Christian Nesmith, who's Mike Nesmith's son,
Okay.
on guitar and backing vocals. His wife, Cersei Link, sings backing vocals. Mickey's sister, Coco, sings backing vocals. They're all from L.A.
Okay.
And I'm trying to think if I left anybody out.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, so we're from all over. And in Mickey's band, the only difference is we don't have Christian, his wife, the pedal steel, and the keyboard player, somebody different. He's from Boston.
Yeah, right. Huh.
So yeah.
So,
And for the Monkees, we'll rehearse. We'll do like a week or two of rehearsals before we hit the road. For
Gotcha.
Mickey's band, there's no rehearsals.
wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Wow. So, do you remember the first, like, okay, I'm doing the first Monkees show?
Yes.
You were psyched.
Yeah, I was
Yeah, yeah.
super psyched.
Yeah, you're like,
I mean,
this
I was
is
a
it.
super fan. I mean, you've known me. I was a Monkees fanatic. Yeah.
Wow. That's wild.
Yeah. And what's really cool is the producer and manager of the band is this guy, Andrew Sandoval,
Okay.
who's famous as this music archivist.
Okay.
And he has access to all the individual tracks.
Ooh.
So like, it's like, let's learn this tune. Here's the drum tracks.
So there's Hal Blaine.
Yeah.
There's
And
whoever.
Hal doesn't play on as much as you think.
Oh, really? Who else
plays
is
on
it? Earl Palmer?
Earl Palmer's all over that stuff. I can't think of his name right now, but the guy who played with the Boyce and Hart band, Tommy Boyce and Bobby Hart, they had a band called the Candy Store Prophets, and he played on that. And then there's other guys too. And I'm drawing a blank.
Yeah, it's all right.
But I'm old.
Yeah. Wow. That's heavy. So
Yeah.
you heard all the isolated.
Yeah, you hear all the isolated tracks. What's really funny is sometimes, there's a guy who's all over it called Fast Eddie Ho.
Okay.
He passed away a couple years ago, but he is insane. I should play you some of his tracks
really?
sometime. I mean, his left hand was
One of the
from
LA
another
dudes?
planet. Yeah, one of the LA studio cats.
All right. So then who's Broom?
The Broom.
Yeah, the Monkees theme.
That's
the first thing you hear.
that's the guy from the Candy Store Prophets. Yeah.
Do we have to look it up?
We have to look it up
All right.
because I'm a terrible historian
All right,
about
I'll
that.
tell you
I
what.
used to know all this stuff.
Okay. No. Well,
And as I've gotten older, it's leaked out.
Well, you left it in Toronto somewhere. All right. Let's do this.
Yeah.
While I'm looking that up, take us to the beginning.
The beginning?
Yeah. Where you're from, how you got interested in music. Start there.
Okay.
I'll half listen while I look up. Who am I looking up?
The Candy Store Prophets drummer. Or you could just look up Monkees theme personnel. It'll be on there.
Oh.
I think. I should have brought Andrew Sandoval's book. He has all that stuff.
Really?
Okay, so I grew up in Clinton, Connecticut,
Okay.
which is this little factory town on the shoreline here. And I was always into music.
Billy Lewis.
Billy Lewis, there you go.
Billy Lewis on drums.
Yeah,
Okay. I'm sorry.
not Billy Clock,
Right.
who used to play with Greg Piccolo, but Billy Lewis.
Right. Billy Lewis. Okay. Now you have my full attention. You were saying you were born in Canton, Ohio. and your
Exactly.
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah. So I don't remember a time where there wasn't music.
Sure.
It was in my house constantly. My dad had records on all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I had a record player since before I could remember. I had a record collection since before I could remember. I don't know the first record I ever owned.
Right.
I know the first one I bought was the 45 to Jump. But
Sure. Yeah.
but I've always had record collections. And that's what people would give me as presents.
Is that Thunder?
Is it Thunder?
Let the record show. Let's see. I'm going to tell you.
Okay, what's the weather
tell you
forecast,
right
John?
now. This is today. This is June 29th in the USA. It's 7:25 p.m. in Portland, Connecticut, and it is thundering outside.
Woohoo!
Just to let you know, in case this is important someday. All
I'm
right,
trying
go
to think if I left my car windows open. I don't think I did.
Mm.
So it was just always there. And I loved music,
Sure.
and I loved all kinds of music. My dad had a tremendous collection. He was a big Elvis fan. He liked Little Richard and Chuck Berry, but he also liked Frank Sinatra.
Sure.
Loved Sinatra.
Cool.
Crooners like Sinatra and Bobby Darin. And he was also big into show tunes,
Okay.
which was very interesting.
Yeah.
And my uncle was a big record collector. He was a guitar player and singer.
Your dad's brother?
No, my mom's brother.
Oh, okay. So you get both sides.
My dad's uncle, who was my great uncle, was a trumpet player in the big bands.
Oh, wow.
And so music was around me constantly.
Sure.
And, not to harp on the same subject, watching music on TV all the time, watching the Monkees
Yep.
was great.
Sure.
I was a big Marx Brothers fan. They played music.
Sure.
My library had a tremendous collection of records.
I'm with you.
Could check
I
out.
was that kid too.
That's
Yep.
how, I remember checking out Donald Fagen's The Night Fly.
Yep.
Just because it looked cool.
Yep.
Bringing it home, putting it on.
Yep.
Wow, this is great stuff.
Yep.
And then in fourth grade, band director waltzes in to, our homeroom and says, next year you're going to be, and he was an evil looking guy. he was this guy he was awesome. His name was Fred Bechtel. He just retired not too long ago,
Wow.
but he just had this stern look, like,
Yeah.
he was evil looking. And he's like, next year you guys get to be in the band. Who wants a permission slip to take home? And I don't know why. I guess just because I love music, I raised my hand.
Sure.
And I brought it home that night and I gave it to my parents at dinner time. And they're like, okay, what instrument do you want to play? And I didn't even think about it. I just said drums.
Wow.
I don't know why.
You know why? I know why.
Why?
Vroom. That's why.
Maybe.
That's why.
Hey,
you know what
honestly, I don't know. So that's how I started. I started taking drum lessons in the school.
Great.
And Fred Bechtel went to my mom and said, he's exceeded what I can teach him. You need to get him private lessons.
Beautiful.
And my first private teacher was a guy named Bob. I don't know his last name. It was a guy.
Oh, yeah, I know
Bob.
that guy.
You know Bob, right? He taught at Bill's Music in Old Saybrook.
Okay.
And that was the first introduction to drum set playing. Because up to that point, it was all,
Sure.
rudiments and classical technique and stuff. And he taught me all about feel.
Mm-hmm.
He taught me drum fills that I still use to this day.
Nice.
Like the easiest stuff, like,
Sure.
you use them too. And it was really, really cool to get that perspective.
Yeah.
And then I started getting really serious. And by this time, I'm in 8th grade.
Yeah, that was going to be my question. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm about to go to high school.
Mm-hmm.
And the high school band director sees me play. And he goes to my mom and he says, you need to get him to a really serious teacher. So I started studying with this guy named Ernest Centescuti. That's a mouthful. And he was in Waterford, Connecticut.
Okay.
And I would truck up there 45 minutes once a week for an hour. And that guy was a god.
Oh, wow.
He taught me so much.
Cool.
He immediately said, you've got nothing but bad habits. We're going to fix them all.
We were just talking about this with Dave last week. Yeah.
Yeah. And so he basically brought me back to the beginning and he taught me the classical method, which wasn't, you're going to be an amazing classical player. It's, this is how it goes.
Wow.
And he taught me my hand technique and coordination and all that stuff. Then he would teach me, independence and stuff on the drum set. And then he started teaching me mallets.
Oh, wow.
Working on the marimba and the vibes.
Whoa.
Because he knew that's what I wanted to do.
Yeah, right.
And I wanted to go to school for that. And to major in music, as a percussionist, you got to know all that stuff.
Gotcha. So he just got you started.
Yeah.
Like, here's
And
the way
he
it's
was
gonna be.
just amazing. I loved lessons with him.
Wow.
And from there, I went to Keene State College in New Hampshire.
Okay.
Studied music. I wanted to go to Hart and be one of the Hart boys. My parents didn't want me to go to a conservatory.
How come?
They wanted me to have something to fall back.
Yeah, right. Sure.
And I get it. Being a parent now, I totally get it.
Right.
At the time, I was like,
Yeah.
So their vision of me was he's going to be a music teacher.
Sure.
And I
So what, the conservatory is just performance
Well, you could get education degree in a conservatory.
Gotcha.
But they wanted me to go to a liberal arts school.
Okay.
So that I would be well-rounded so that,
right, if it all
fell apart, I'd have that to fall back on.
Did it all fall apart?
Not yet.
There's still time.
There's still time. I'm sure it will. Give it.
If it didn't last year, it won't.
So from there, I studied at Keene State College. I got my degree. I went in as a music ed major.
Okay.
But I skipped all my education classes to practice, and I ended up becoming. I graduated with 2 degrees: Bachelor of Music and Performance with a specialization in percussion, and a Bachelor of Arts in Music Composition.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So both, useless degrees.
Well,
so.
To your parents' chagrin, they were like, "Where's the fallback on?"
Exactly. So, and then I graduated, and I quickly got a job at a video store.
Right.
That was good. Yeah.
Yep.
And tried getting my name out. That's when I met you.
Oh, okay.
And I auditioned for your spot in Eight's the Bar.
Oh, really?
You didn't get it. Yeah.
I'm sorry. I don't.
That's a long time ago.
I know.
I remember that. And I was like, oh, this is going to be great. I'm going to go in. I'm going to get this gig. And Steve was like, you're really good. You're really good. And then I didn't get the gig.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I wonder why. I don't remember.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's all right.
I mean, I
It's
remember
not
you
your fault.
for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember. I don't remember that you even auditioned.
Yeah. But anyway.
It's a weird gig.
Yeah. And
Not in a bad. I just.
a mutual friend of ours told me either I would have been fired or I would have quit.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah.
But anyway.
Anyway.
So yeah, and just trying to be in that scene was really difficult for me. Because I was trying to get my footing in the local music scene. I got my footing in the local classical scene.
Okay.
I started playing in Wallingford Symphony, and then I started playing in Bridgeport Symphony, and then I started
Who was director of Wallingford Symphony?
A man named Phil Ventry.
Okay, no.
And that's interesting how I got that gig. So I lied. I didn't have my video store gig yet. I worked in a print shop for a week.
Okay.
And hated
Hey,
it.
work your way up to motion pictures.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
I used to say I'm in the film industry. But I was working at a print shop, and this guy came in with a bunch of programs for Wallingford Symphony. And I printed them up. And when he came to pick them up, I said, hey, I'm a percussionist. I have a degree.
Sure.
I see, you're part of this symphony. He goes, I'm the conductor. And it was Phil Ventry. And I gave him my name, my number. Next thing I know, I started getting calls. I started playing there. I started playing in Meriden, started playing Bridgeport. I'm still in Bridgeport to this day. And so I was getting my footing in there.
Yeah.
But,
Sorry.
I want every gig in the world.
Sure.
So
why not?
I wanted to be part of the, the New Haven or the Connecticut club scene. Now I look back and I go, why? But,
wow. Yeah.
But I wanted that
question.
too. And that for me was really, really difficult. But I would go to as many gigs as possible. And I learned so much.
Okay.
And and not to stroke your ego, I learned so much from watching you.
Really?
Yeah. Like before I watched you play, I had no clue how to play funk.
Oh, wow.
So I stole a lot from you.
Wow.
I'm still not a great funk player, but and your shuffle. I totally copped your shuffle.
Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, sure. Yeah, I worked really hard on shuffles.
Yeah.
I did, actually. I remember. Yeah. Allow me to talk.
Go ahead.
All right. I remember I was doing the same thing. I was out of high school trying to figure out how to break into the bar scene more. You know, I had my gigs that I was kind of shepherded into, and I wanted to break out. And I started to get into blues, and I was listening to shuffles, and I would go see local drummers and be like, nobody is really playing the shuffle the way they. And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to be the shuffle guy, and I would work on it. I would go home and work and work and work and work and work. So I thought eventually I'm going to be that. I'm going to be the shuffle guy, because everybody was playing some kind of wonderful da-doom, da-da, da-doom.
Yes.
Nobody was doing the two-handed.
Exactly.
And I was like, you know what? I'm going to corner that. Yeah. And for a while it worked. I became the shuffle guy.
Yeah. So. You were sick at that, and that
was on purpose, at least that much I'll take credit for.
Because I was one of those some kind of wonderful guys.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's whatever. I think I'm older than you. Stevie Ray Vaughan happened right at the right time, and that exposed us rock people to like, oh,
Yeah.
this is how a shuffle. Okay.
Yeah.
And so it was part of my thing. So I just accepted it as anything and just said, all right, let me get this together. But yeah,
and
shuffles.
That enabled me to get a really good stepping stone gig with Greg Piccolo.
Oh, right. That's right.
Yeah.
Sure.
So after Jonathan Lichtig left,
Yep.
he was the one who came to me and, well, not Greg, Jonathan.
Sure.
Said, hey, I work for this guy, Greg Piccolo, and I knew who Greg was.
Yeah, sure.
And he said, why don't you audition? And it was your shuffle that got me the gig.
Oh, cool. What do I get out of this?
Well, I don't work for Greg anymore, so nothing.
Well, I mean, hey, I guess what goes around comes around because, I mean, when I was playing with 8 to the Bar, we did a lot of double bills with Roomful.
Yep.
And John Rossi. I mean, that was, it's like, oh, okay. So I guess I stole it from him and then you stole it from me and you got the gig. It kind of went around.
Yeah, because Piccolo loved Rossi. That was like his
sure.
favorite
How can
drummer.
you? Yeah, exactly. How can you not?
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah. Wow, that's wild.
Cool.
That's wild. Yeah. Now I'm curious because I don't know. So funk drumming.
Yeah.
Define it, Rich Dart, here and now for us.
How do I define it?
I don't know. What were you not? I don't want to make this about me, but what were you not doing that you thought I was doing, so we can figure out what it is? Because I don't know.
Playing it right.
Wow.
Not playing it like a white guy. Not to be racial, but
sure. Yeah, I hear you.
Like to me, like I wasn't really heavily steeped in funk.
Okay.
Most of my upbringing was rock and roll.
Sure.
And not even like the 60s, because my parents kind of weren't part of that 60s era. My dad was in the Army when the Beatles hit.
Okay.
And my mom definitely was not into any of that. So there was a big part of the 60s that everybody else knew about, like the Beatles and
I got you.
All that stuff that I didn't. To me, the 60s was like, Herman's Hermits and the Monkees and stuff.
Wow, that's
like that.
interesting. Yeah.
And I knew like Tommy James and all that stuff.
Sure.
But, and I knew who James Brown was.
Right.
But I didn't deep dive into James Brown.
Right. I got you.
And to me, funk was like, what eventually became the 90s rock beat.
Sure. Yeah, sure.
But I didn't know anything about Ghost Strokes.
Right.
And I didn't know about the feel behind funk.
Yep.
So watching you, I was like, oh, that's how it's done.
Oh, okay. Well.
And what was cool about your playing, and again, not stroke your ego, but because you play open, you play lefty, it was so easy to watch what each hand was
interesting.
doing, as opposed to trying to see this.
I got you. Wow, that's cool.
Yeah. So
never thought about it.
So I learned a lot about where to place the beat.
Oh, nice.
Where to put it. So, I mean, I guess.
Hey, cool.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad. So I miss a lot of what you were into. It's like we're complementary in the sense that but yeah, I was heavy into the funk. My parents, I don't know how it happened, but yeah, there was a certain period in the 90s. Yeah, all I listened to was James Brown for a handful of years. Yeah. And then I don't know if you're like this, but I get like this. Like if you want to learn a style, that's all I listen to.
Right. You just immerse yourself in it.
Until it totally
I do that all the time.
So yeah, I guess, it's not that I'm some extraordinary. It just I kind of got there before you got there, but I'm sure there's plenty of things that you spent time with that I wouldn't that I didn't know about. So yeah, that's cool. Yeah, but James Brown. Yeah. Yeah, all day, every day.
Yeah. And of course, after getting into that and watching you and starting to hang out with the same people, I dived into James Brown. Yeah. I remember I had this double CD set called Make It Funky. And it was like every funk tune he did. It was awesome. Yeah. I don't know what happened to that.
Well, it exists. It's around. Yeah.
But
James Brown. All right, that's cool.
Yeah.
So I was part of your funk education.
Yeah.
In some kind of weird way.
Yeah.
That's cool. You're welcome, I guess. whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I took it all from some as we all.
Right. I mean,
as
we all do.
That's
We all take
do.
stuff, and and I get people telling me that too. Like, I learned how to play this from watching you. I'm like,
Yeah,
okay.
hell yeah, that's
And
awesome.
I'm like, you couldn't find anybody better.
Nah, later for that. So you're in the classical world, doing bar gigs. How does the playing shows, is that classical world, or these are at the same time?
It's about the same time.
Okay.
So I had done like a lot of high school musicals and then local theaters. I used to play. I used to play this dinner theater in Berlin.
Berlin. It's where I live now.
Really?
Yeah, I live in Berlin.
That's right. You just moved.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
And
there's that joint.
well, there used to be a place.
to be.
Yeah, a dinner theater called the Beckley Beer Garden Dinner Theater.
Okay, that I don't know.
Yeah, and it was the most bizarre place.
Don't diss my town.
I'm not dissing
That
your
I've
town.
been living in 3 months already. It's my town.
I've always said it's like a Fellini movie in real life, but as a compliment.
Sure. Yeah.
And so it was crazy because the cast was the same cast for every show they did. And it was, I'm not going to say much more than that, but they were very interesting people.
Sure.
And so like I would do that. I did the dinner theater. There used to be a Shoreline group of actors called the Nutmeg Players.
Wow.
Who would do shows a couple times a year, and I started playing for that.
Oh, wow. This is a whole different
Yeah.
scene.
Yeah. And,
Wow.
And that was, a lot of the classical guys get those gigs because they can read,
Right.
And
Wow.
yeah.
So it's a different clique, a whole
A
different.
whole different clique.
Wow.
Yeah.
I was not even aware.
Yeah. Which would eventually lead to me working at the Goodspeed.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. How did you ever hear back from the dude that you were subbing? He wouldn't have
Sal?
gotten the Monkees gig.
He wouldn't have. but-
So it doesn't even really matter.
right. No,
fact that
he's totally cool with it. He's awesome.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
I hope it was a good vacation.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, whoops.
It was funny because for that show, it worked out that I was a part of all the big parts of the show. So they do a B-roll, a sizzle reel,
Okay.
where they film the show and then they put that as the advertisements. And
Sure.
I was the drummer that night. I was the
Wow.
drummer the night the press came and reviewed the show. So it was like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Do you feel any differently about Pippin now? The part that it's played in your life?
I'll say this, that production kicked some major booty.
Okay.
That production was off the hook.
So you you re-upped Pippin, you
Yeah.
guys. Oh,
Yeah.
that's cool.
Yeah.
So you made it better than what you were thinking.
Right. Because I had
that's
played
cool.
it a million times with high schools where they stuck
gotcha.
to the 70s version. And this was like
Oh.
the 21st century.
Cutting edge
version.
Pippin.
Yeah. Yeah. They rocked it up a lot.
Wow. It's kind of heavy. That's heavy.
Yeah.
So months, that's something that I never really did. So months away, like doing shows, you go coast to coast.
Yeah. Wow. And what's cool about touring with a show as opposed to touring with a band and doing one nights, you're in a city for at least a week.
Right.
And you don't have to show up until 8:00 to work.
Oh, wow.
So you have all day to explore and go and do stuff.
Sounds like a good gig.
Yeah. Sometimes you're there for like a month
Wow.
and it's really
You could, that's long enough to start a family.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I got,
That's David Lee Roth's quote, right? I'm a family man. I've started several this year alone.
Oh, really? Wow, a month. So, some of your favorite cities that you spent time in?
Chicago.
Really?
Love Chicago.
What about it?
I just love it. The feel of it, just the aura about it. There's so many cool places to go. That's a big one. I love Seattle.
Okay.
I like Seattle a lot.
Not now. It's like 120 degrees
right,
today.
not now, but
No.
Interesting fact, if you go to Google Maps or Google Earth, whatever it's called, you can see me walking through Pike Place.
He's everywhere.
and it's from the Avenue Q tour.
Wow.
And I'm there with an ex-girlfriend. But my wife knew all about it. It was all cool.
You don't want to get caught with your Seattle old lady. You're like, oh no, on Google Earth. It wasn't me. It wasn't me.
It wasn't me. I swear that's not me. They blurred my
Click,
face.
enlarge, 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 enlarge. Busted by Google Earth.
Yeah. But
man.
yeah, so those are a couple. I mean, Nashville obviously is an amazing city.
Never been.
Oh, it's so cool.
Yeah.
It really is. And I made a lot of good friends that I still have back then.
Wow.
Because, they have this street, Lower Broadway, where all the honky tonks are.
Okay.
And a lot of it right now, it's like walking through downtown Hartford. They're all playing Journey.
Sure. No,
But,
I have the same experience.
yeah, there's still a bunch that are playing old time country and, bluegrass and stuff like that.
That's where you want to be.
Yeah. And one night, Hank 3 was playing
Oh, boy.
at one of those places. It was like a surprise thing.
Oh, boy.
And I happened to be there before the show.
Right place, right time, dart. That's
That's
always.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, bro, I'm on Google Earth.
Yeah.
I'm there.
I'm there. So I had been going every afternoon to this club called Layla's. And there was a family band. At the time, they were called Gypsy.
Okay.
And it was made up of these 3 sisters and their brother. And they were just phenomenal bluegrass musicians.
Love it.
And I would go every afternoon, and I got to know them. And as soon as the show was done that night, literally the last notes hanging in the air, I'm out the door because I want to go see Hank 3.
Oh, boy.
And we were just up the hill, so I run down the hill, and there's a big sign up, we're full, nobody.
Oh, boy.
And Lily Mae, the fiddle player from that band, saw me out the window, came.
Did she know you? Or
yeah, she knew me.
Okay.
Well, she wasn't the fiddle player for Hank 3. She was fiddle player for Gypsy. It was
Right.
her
The
family
gig
band.
you just came from.
And she saw me, and she's like, Derek, get in here. And she pulled me in. Wow. So, so I've made some really cool friends.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Wow.
She plays fiddle for Jack White now.
Oh, wow.
She's insane.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Wow, that's exciting.
Yeah.
Far out. Yeah. What? I was just thinking. I remember. I've been in New Orleans a couple of times, and it was like, the first time I went, I was like, oh man, I can't wait to get down on Bourbon Street and hear the real stuff. And it was just Mustang Sally.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm like, oh, this is a bummer. And then there was like a Pass the Hat band in Jackson Square Park that were the real deal.
Yeah,
and
that's
like,
the place to go.
Oh,
man.
I was like, yeah, okay. So I went there. And once I figured that out, I figured out when, and I was there every day.
Yeah.
And it was just like, okay, this is the real deal. And then, start chatting with the drummer. And he's like, yeah, I'm a 3rd generation New Orleans drummer. Okay.
Yeah.
And then he told me where the spot was. He was like, okay, here's the club you got to go to.
Yep.
So then we ditched Bourbon Street and started going out.
Yeah.
And then it was like, okay, this is what I want to see, as opposed to,
Yeah.
go to Nashville to hear some jerk play Margaritaville with a dream catcher on the end of his ovation or whatever.
I was fortunate that my first trips, well, not my first trip, I had gone in college, but my first trip as a working musician to New Orleans was with Greg Piccolo.
Oh, that must be heavy.
And that was
he must
awesome.
know everybody.
He
right?
knew everybody. Yeah. And we had like local guys coming in and playing on the gig with us. And then he would take us to all these different places. He introduced me to a place called Checkpoint Charlie's. Do you know about that? It's a laundromat, but it's also a burger joint. It's awesome.
Wow.
And we would play at this place called Snug Harbor.
Okay.
Where Ellis Marsalis would hold court all the time.
Gee whiz.
And here's my funny Snug Harbor story. So at Snug Harbor, we played, and then Pick was like, I'm too tired. We'll pack up tomorrow morning before we leave.
Sure.
So we were going to Houston.
Wow.
And we're packing up, and he's like, somebody's got to be outside at the van at all times. So there was one point where there was nobody at the van, and there were these 2 kids going back and forth. And we're just like, okay, we got everything in. We get to Houston. I'm unpacking at Houston, and I can't find my stick bag. And of course, I instantly think, 2 kids ripped it off.
Those kids stole my stick
Those
bag.
kids, right? Almost a year later, like a day later than a year, we're back at Snug Harbor, and I'm setting stuff up, and a wing nut falls off my cymbal stand.
Sure.
And it goes into this little crack behind the stage.
Sure.
There is my stick bag.
Whoa.
Perfectly preserved.
You left it there.
It was, yeah, I left it there. It got stuck in that crevice, and because it was dark, you couldn't see it because it's black. And it was a little musty,
Yeah.
but it was fully packed.
Wow.
I still use it to this day. It's my
Wow.
magic stick bag.
That's wild.
Yeah.
And you're like on Google Earth trying to find those kids. There they are. Wow. Wow. Yeah, that's heavy.
Yeah.
That's pretty wild. Yeah. Imagine that.
Yeah.
Never happened. It didn't happen like you thought it happened.
No.
That's wild.
Yeah.
So Monkees.
Yes.
Monkey business.
Monkey business.
What's going on? Do you actually say that? Monkey business. Do you guys say that?
No.
Oh,
we
sorry.
hate that term. That's
That's awful. Why would you?
So I just told this story the other day. So one time it was so Mickey's gigs are like weekend warrior gigs. It's like, okay, we're playing Friday night, so we fly out Thursday,
Okay.
play Friday night, fly home Saturday. And this one gig, our bass player wasn't on it. He's like this mad Nashville cat. He played with Donna Summer. He played with Rick Springfield. He's
Wow.
all over the place. He's one of the original Atomic Punks. Do you know Atomic Punks?
I know the song.
They're the very first Van Halen tribute band ever.
Right.
So he's one of the originals. But he's an awesome guy. John Billings is his name. And he subbed out the gig to this guy, Vance Brascia.
Okay.
Now, Vance Brascia is best known to the world as the guy who wrote the song That Was Then, This Is Now,
Okay.
which was the Monkees' big hit in the 80s
Okay.
that brought them back.
Okay.
So Vance is on the gig, and I meet Vance at the airport. We get to the gig. The first people there are me, Vance, and Mickey.
Wow.
And we all go out to dinner.
Yeah,
We're sitting at dinner, and some woman comes up to the table and goes, "There better not be any monkey business going on here."
Oh, never heard that one
Yeah,
before.
We're just like, But
And
anyway,
then I just said it here now.
that's all right.
You're like, oh,
It's okay.
oh boy.
From you, I don't mind.
That's payback for stealing my funk. I guess. I don't know.
So what's going on with the Monkees now?
Yeah.
September, we hit the road for the big farewell tour.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Is that bad news? Or are they just saying that?
I don't think they're just saying it.
Really?
Nez is going to be 79 this year, and Mickey just turned 76. They're getting up there. I mean,
Yeah.
they're both in great shape.
Sure.
And Mickey can still sing every song in the original key, by the way.
Wow.
Except one, which we raised a half step.
That's heavy.
Yeah, he's awesome. His
Wow.
voice is phenomenal.
Wow.
But
That's cool.
You know, they're getting up there.
Yeah, yeah.
And this was supposed to happen last year, obviously. And last year was going to be awesome, by the way. I know
Sure.
everybody says
Sure
this,
it was.
but like we were going to go out with the Monkees in the spring. Then I had the summer booked solid.
Yep.
And then we were going to go out again in the fall.
Yeah.
And that wasn't being billed as the farewell, but I kind of thought it was going to be.
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously pandemic.
Sure.
So now it's all lumped into 3 months. So from September to mid-November, we'll be touring the country.
Wow.
And it's the most logical tour I've ever heard of in my life.
And so everything's just routed perfectly.
Yes. We're starting in northern Washington. We're going down the West Coast, down through the South, up the East Coast, across the top of the country, through the Midwest, and then we end at L.A.
Wow.
The Greek. Yeah.
That's cool. Where do you play in L.A.?
The Greek Theater.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's heavy.
That's an awesome place.
Wow.
I've played some really amazing places with the Monkees.
Really?
The best one, and I got to brag, I'm sorry.
Sure. No, please.
We sold out the Sydney Opera House.
Wow.
And that place is amazing.
Really? Yeah.
It is so cool.
Wow.
And from the classical world, I'm a huge fan of any hall that you walk out and you just go tss on the snare and it just fills the room.
Wow.
And I was convinced that it wasn't going to sound that good because we're playing in this big classical venue.
Sure.
And we're, blasting PAs and rock music, but they knew their stuff there. And it was the first place I've ever played like that where the whole stage was carpeted.
Oh, wow.
Brought out carpet.
So they
knew what they were doing. It sounded amazing.
Wow.
It felt amazing. It was really emotional playing there for me.
Wow.
So
That's wild.
yeah.
Wow, that's crazy. Huh. Far out.
Far out.
Yeah. So who knows after the
Yeah.
farewell?
Yeah, I mean, Mickey's already said he's going to start booking more solo shows afterwards. But it probably won't be Monkees after this.
Right. Right. And I would imagine if it's the Mickey show, it's not I hate to say it, the venues are not as big.
Right. The venues aren't as big.
But you don't care.
No.
You'll do them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and it's a fun show to play.
Yeah.
The band is amazing. They're like a second family to me.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like I mentioned John Billings before. He's like a brother I never had.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's pretty wild. Did you know I played with Peter Tork for years? Did you know that?
I did know that.
Okay. Right.
I did know that.
Yeah. Far out.
Yeah. He
back in the day.
When you were playing with
Jeff Pitchell.
Jeff Pitchell.
Yep.
I was going to say Pivar, but it wasn't Pivar.
Yeah,
it was
no.
Pitchell.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yep.
Did you get yelled at?
Probably.
You didn't really work with Peter unless you got yelled at.
Oh, okay. So it wasn't just me.
No.
I don't want to. Yeah.
No.
He didn't.
No. There's a fan who had these buttons made up that said, I went to a Peter Tork concert and all I got was yelled at.
Really? Okay. Okay, good. You're making me feel better. Making me feel better. Years
ago, before I was part of the organization at all, he played with his blues band at the Hungry Tiger.
Sure.
And there was a Peter opening up. You're going to have to help me with this. He's from that area.
Peter.
Well, Pete somebody.
All right, we'll figure it out.
Anyway, he's a Hartford guy.
Okay.
And he opened up, and Peter's on stage. Peter Tork's on stage playing with his blues band.
Sure.
And the other Pete came out around, and somebody called him and said, Pete. And Peter Tork stopped the band and goes, What is it that you have to stop the show and call my name? And my name's Peter, by the way, not Pete.
Oh boy. They're like, we're not talking to you.
Yeah. But anyway, I loved Peter.
Sure.
And I don't mean to speak ill of him. He was a
right.
great guy. I was his road manager, his tour manager for the East Coast of his solo show.
Oh, okay.
It was just him and an acoustic guitar singing and telling. And it was awesome.
Wow.
Spent a lot of time in my van with him up and down the East Coast.
Okay. Far out.
But I did love him dearly. And if you didn't get yelled at, you didn't work for him.
Yeah, well, I got yelled at, so I guess, yeah, that's true. Yeah, I thought it was just me. I was like,
nope.
Okay. All right. Yeah, that's cool. All right, good. That's a load off of my mind.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, far out. So what next? I think we kind of, we're not sure.
We're not sure.
Yeah, we don't really know.
I mean, over the summer, I have a recurring gig on Block Island every Sunday.
Oh, wow.
With a local band out there called Young Guns.
Okay.
Which is awesome.
Yep.
It's such a great gig. They're amazing musicians.
Really? And, anybody I know?
I don't think so. There's a guy named Dominic Nardini who plays bass.
Okay.
He's from School of Fish. Do you remember that 90s band? School of
Maybe.
Fish?
Yeah.
He was in that. He's also in the We Didn't Start the Fire video, but that is entirely non-related.
Far out.
The singer is a girl.
Was he Belgians in the Congo? Was that him?
No, he's the hippie kid that comes in with the portable TV set.
Okay, we'll have to look for it.
And Kat is the singer, Kat Killen. She's the daughter of the woman who owns Yellow Kittens.
Okay.
On Block Island. Mark Scortino is the keyboard player.
Okay.
So
you're going out there like every Sunday?
Every Sunday, and it's perfect.
Oh, really?
Because I catch like the 4:00 boat. Gets in at 5. I get off the boat. I walk to Captain Nick's where I play.
Sure.
The drums are all set up. I sit down. I play for 3 hours straight. I get up. I walk back to the boat. I catch the 9:00 boat home, and I drive home.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. That's the way to do it.
It's the perfect.
That's the way to do it.
It's the perfect gig.
Because I got to be honest with you. I'm like, oh God. You said, when you're Block Island every Sunday. I'm thinking, oh, that sucks. I was thinking. Because it's a drag.
It is.
When you have to bring drums and so.
Yeah.
You got it made.
Yeah, that's perfect. And I even went above and beyond because I didn't like the house cymbals that they had.
Sure.
So I'm a endorser for Sabian. So I contacted my rep and I said, hey, I got this recurring gig on this island off the coast of Rhode Island every week. I don't want to carry my cymbals. Can I get a set of cymbals mailed to the island? And there you go. And
so you don't not even that.
No.
Wow.
I do bring a snare. But the past couple of weeks, I've said, "Hey, can I keep this?"
But it's a piccolo snare.
Hold
on.
Go ahead.
We'll
where's your thing?
I don't know. Let me get that. Hold on. Oh no. Let me get my spectacles. I don't even know if I could figure this out. I'll probably shut everything
you could
up. Never
hit
mind.
the wrong button.
Yeah, I'll hit the wrong button. All right. Never mind.
Oh,
how do it? Never mind. All right. Who cares? Wow. So that's kind of cool. So you're playing Block Island in a way that it can be played.
Yeah.
That's pretty wild.
Because like my normal mindset is what you thought. Like
Yeah,
when
it's
someone
just like,
says, "Hey, we
oh,
got a gig on
no.
Block Island,"
Yeah,
it's
you're like, no.
you got to stay in the band house, and it's
Yeah, that's a drag.
yeah.
Tell you what joke? I don't even remember what joke we told. Oh, it's a piccolo snare. Hey, forget about it. We discovered here at the John Peckman podcast the we discovered the sound effects bank, so I'm going to be overusing those for the last. You're like, yeah, and then then sadly, so they're doing the farewell Monkees tour. Yeah, it was great. The audience loved us. We were going. It was perfect. Right. Not gonna. That's enough of that. Oh boy. All right.
Woo.
But you know what?
Yeah.
All right. Now let's get into it.
Okay.
You've seen the show,
Yeah.
so do you know what's coming? So, all right. You know what's coming, don't you? And there's suddenly a pie fight. Oh, you didn't hear about the pie fight that we end every.
I didn't see that part.
Are you a practicer of your instrument?
Yes.
Oh, good. That's cool. Is there any particular thing that you're working on right now that you like to share with us?
Yeah. I'm learning a bunch of Wilco songs.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Because our friend Dean Falcone.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to get him up here.
Yeah. Oh, you got to get him up here.
Yeah.
He's putting together this show to go with this documentary as part of the New Haven Documentary Festival about Wilco's early years.
Okay.
And I know of Wilco, but I'm
Sure.
not an uber fan or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to learn all these songs before then. So I'm working on that. I got to go back and relearn all the Monkees songs before September.
Okay.
And I just practice like a lot of technique stuff.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, I keep my chops up.
Sure.
Doesn't show, but I try,
Hey, man, I hear you. That's kind of cool. Yeah, I would think it's interesting because you never know. Some musicians don't practice, and that's kind of cool too, I guess. I don't know.
I wish I could be one of those guys that never practices and it's just like amazing.
Yeah. Wow.
Like Buddy Rich is supposedly never practiced.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. That's kind of crazy.
So my dad was always quick to point out that that's a lie because they were walking down the boardwalk in Atlantic City one day and they saw him playing.
Oh, really?
I'm like, we could have just been banging away.
Yeah.
Practicing. But, yeah.
That's funny. Wow. All right. If you could pick a desert island album, is it possible?
If I had to?
You have to.
Okay. I would say Adam Ant's Friend or Foe.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. I don't know if I know that one.
Yeah, it's the one with Goody Two Shoes and Desperate But Not Serious. That is probably the only album in my life I never get sick of.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. I'll have to check it out. That's
awesome.
interesting.
Yeah.
That's cool. Who produced it?
I want to say Marco Peroni, who was his guitar player at the time.
Okay.
I could be.
All right.
Totally
I'll have to get into that. I'll get into that. Wow. That's cool. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's an interesting one. The what?
The next mix. Yeah. You got to put an Adam Ant song on your
I
next
will.
mix.
I'll get into it. I'm always
digging your mixes, by the way.
Oh, really?
I always have.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm always trying to do something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any clue, like anybody that turns me on to something, I'll go follow it because I'm always trying to find something.
What's really cool about that album is he was veering away from the old Adam and the I'm an Adam Ant freak.
Okay.
But the old Adam and the Ants, which they had the Burundi beat.
Okay.
But he was using it as a more pop flavored thing than punk. And he was kind of opened the door to more pop flavored stuff.
Okay.
So
he's getting away from that.
Yeah, but it's still there. And
the
percussion on that album is sick.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll check it out.
Yeah.
Friend or Foe by Adam and the Ants.
Actually, just Adam Ant.
Adam Ant.
After he left.
Okay, you just said that. I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Cool. All right. Yeah. I'll check that out. All right. That's pretty groovy. Yeah, I don't know that one, so that this will put me on a thing. If you the food question, because I don't know why I think this is interesting, but like, you know what I mean? Because that's the way I think. Like sometimes I'll be eating, I'll go, I could have this every day. What could you have every day?
Probably pasta.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm not a foodie at all.
Yeah, I'm not.
I eat to live, not live to eat.
Sure.
So, yeah.
I hear that.
My wife says if I could go without eating, I would.
I kind of feel that way
Yeah.
myself. It's a necessity.
Yeah,
I just want to kind of move on.
exactly.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, all right. It's pasta. Not terribly.
Exciting.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, no, that's fine. So that's pretty much
That's it.
What else is there to? Let me get back to what else is there to know? What else should we know about Rich Start? What are you doing? Aren't you? I always see you popping up. Sorry, I am paying attention. I just want to get back.
That's
to
okay.
without ruining.
You want to hit the crickets again? Yeah.
Yeah, I'll get back to that. The Cafe 9 scene.
Yeah. That's kind of weird that I got into that.
Yeah.
'Cause, again, going back to my 20s,
Yep.
I wanted so badly to be the Cafe 9 scene.
Yeah.
And I did for a while on the jazz end of things.
Mm-hmm.
You, of course, remember our friend Kenny Aldridge.
Sure.
I used to sub for Kenny a lot on the Saturday Jazz Jam.
Wow. Yeah, that's
And
big
I
shoes.
got to play with Eddie Buster and
Sure.
Dave Dana and all those cats. And then over the years, that was my hangout.
Mm-hmm.
And then over the years, I just wasn't part of it anymore. And Dean Falcone was
Sure.
the guy who got me back into that.
Oh, cool. Because there's just like more rock and roll.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I'll do a lot of stuff with him and Ed Velasquez. I'm playing with him and his wife, Shelly Velasquez right now.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm in the Zambonis now,
Okay.
which is bizarre because I know nothing about hockey.
Yeah, I don't either.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Oh.
What are you going to do?
Are there songs about hockey?
They're all songs about hockey.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And they're really good songs.
Okay.
My explanation of it is if They Might Be Giants recorded nothing but hockey songs. And you
cool.
got the Zambonis.
Wow.
And I love They Might Be Giants. So this is the closest I'll ever get to playing.
I got
They
you.
Might Be
Yeah, that's
Giants.
cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. So my question is, so you felt at the time that you wanted to be part of the local band scene,
Yeah.
yet you traveled the country. I didn't do that stuff. You're better off.
Yeah. Looking
You know
at
what I
it
mean?
now. Yeah.
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 You know, I don't have a story about one time in Houston. I don't have those stories. You were better off.
I guess so. Yeah.
You didn't need that gig. The A to the Bar gig. You didn't need that
I
gig.
didn't need that gig.
No.
No.
You would have gone to Rhode Island and back, which was great. No, but I'm just saying
Yeah.
that was about the.
Yeah. But at the time, I mean, I was right out of college. I was
Sure.
looking for a gig that was
Sure.
going to pay and then
Sure.
I could count
No,
on. Yeah.
hey, I'm not dissing. We're gonna.
Oh, God,
Hopefully,
no.
I want to get
No.
Cynthia up here. I'm not dissing the gig at
yeah,
all.
totally
It was a
dissing the
great
gig.
gig to have at the
Yeah.
time for sure.
Yeah.
But I think I think it worked out.
I think so.
Yeah.
I hope so.
Well,
I mean, I'm constantly thinking, tomorrow it's over.
it is.
I'm not going to
Someday it is.
another gig,
Well, someday.
Yeah.
We all don't have
Yeah.
another tomorrow at some point.
My friend Anthony DeQuattro, who is by far the greatest percussionist in the state, he's principal with Bridgeport Symphony. He's the head of the music department at Regional Center for the Arts. He's always saying that my biggest irrational fear is that after every performance, I'm afraid I'm going to get fired,
Oh wow.
which is kind of true,
But yet not true.
but not true.
You thought that brings us to the beginning.
Yeah.
That's what you thought.
Right. Yeah. I thought
And the opposite is true.
And, and what's funny is so much came out of that one gig where I thought I was going to get
And yet
fired
you still think you're going to be fired.
all the time. I'll say this. My biggest fear, and I've heard this from a lot of musicians, is that, I know what I'm capable of, and
Sure.
I know a lot, and I know my level of competency, but there's still something in the back of my mind that says somebody's going to find out one day that I'm faking it all. And I'll tell you the best comeback to that ever was a very dear friend of mine who passed away. Her name was Kim Shattuck. And I said that to her one time, and she looked at me, and this sounds so simple, but it meant the world to me. She said, "We're all faking it."
Yeah.
And I was like,
That's what I was thinking.
it was like the most enlightening thing. It was such a simple answer. And I was like, what? Exactly. That's exactly what it was.
This is
like.
coming in handy. Wow.
Yeah, but yeah. And it just,
Well,
and
good thing I didn't, and it was amazing what she said. It was so profound. No, I pressed the wrong button. Never mind. That's enough of this. Forget it. Forget it. I'm out.
But yeah, so, and what's funny is here's something that's interesting, and I'm not trying to diss anybody. The further I've gone in the music industry, the more I find there are more people faking it than you think.
What is anything? I
yeah,
mean,
exactly.
You know what I mean?
So
like, there's no, everybody, I mean, okay. I'm no longer paying attention to that. But it is all, I mean, yeah. Like, by whose authority would it be? Congratulations, you are now authentic.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Because we're all making it up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you know what? It sounds like it kind of worked out. I wouldn't worry about that. Although, you know, I was thinking if that's what it takes, that thought to keep you on your toes, then fine. Because I'm the same way. I don't particularly always care for my playing. You know what I mean? I'm always just like, oh, that again?
Yeah.
You know, this or that. And I would imagine that most players are like that to some degree, but I'm never satisfied either.
Oh,
you know, and then you have people who don't understand that, go, oh, dude, you're awesome. And I'm just like, I don't think so.
Yeah.
You know?
Do you get that when people come up to you and say, oh man, you sounded awesome, and you just think you had the worst gig of your life? Yeah.
Always.
Always.
And you don't want to say, you know, but then what you just, I might think, I'm glad you enjoyed it. And then I go weep, you know, like I go away and they go, they don't know. Or, and then I guess we'll stop because I don't want to start talking about myself. But what I always say, because my wife always used to, you know, because I would, oh man, I wasn't good. It bothered me, the gig last night. She goes, well, you always sound, you sounded great. And I realized, I'm like, okay, you're not really. But I said, sure. But the thing is, and you probably understand this, it's like, okay, I might have hit the mark, but sometimes it's hard. You know, I'm just like, yeah, I got to my base level, but it was much harder to get there.
Right.
Then sometimes it just comes to you.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, I'm going to start here, and now I'm going to start reaching out.
Yep.
For other things. I'm just like, yeah, I guess I sounded good, but it was harder work to get there.
Yeah.
Than it normally was. And to me, that's a fail. That's like a bad night.
Yeah. I'm the same way.
Yeah.
Exactly the same way.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, I guess there's no free rides, or maybe sometimes there's a free ride. You know, sometimes you catch it.
Yeah.
You know, and you're like, okay.
But then those are the times that somebody actually recorded it and you hear it back and you're like, oh man.
But hey, if you like you say, if you were satisfied, then what? Then
exactly.
What? Then what?
Well, I tell all my students, I say, you're never going to have a perfect performance.
No,
it's impossible. And the day you have one is the day you put the sticks down and say,
sure,
that's it. I'm not going to get any better.
I agree. I agree. That sounds very realistic to me.
Yeah.
Like you say, what would be the point of continuing?
Exactly.
If you're like, okay, next, that sounds like a good place to end.
That sounds like a perfect place.
You know what I mean?
End.
But feel free to come back anytime you want, because I know what happens, speaking for myself too. It's like you watch it and you go, oh, damn, I never, I wanted to talk about it. You just come back because, we're going to keep this rolling. So at some point we're going to start doubling back. So, make a list and
I will do that.
Think about other things you want to talk about.
Yeah.
But it was nice seeing you. I haven't seen you in a while.
I know.
Yeah.
At least not face to face.
Yeah. Cool.
No, thanks so much for asking me to do this.
Oh yeah.
This was a pleasure.
Oh, definitely. Why not? Yeah. We're here. Like I say, it should be the John Peckman podcast. We're here. We're dressed. What else? Done. Mission accomplished. Sometimes that's the best you can do. We're here. We're dressed.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming. Thanks for tuning in. Hope I don't hit the wrong thing. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, exactly. Thanks for tuning in. I'm not even gonna. All right, hey, John Peckman podcast, right? Beautiful downtown Portland, Connecticut Valley School of Music and Dance. That's where we are. This is the podcast studio. Dave Kuzminski, our fearless leader. We had Rich Dart, Connecticut's own Monkees drummer. Been around the country. Been, in, out, around, leaving stick bags from coast to coast. You might recognize him from such gigs as Google Earth. The right place and the right time. That's Rich Dart for you, boys and girls. Thanks for listening. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anytime. We'll do this again. I'm John Peckman. That does it for this one. What is it, 17? Lucky 17. You have a lucky number?
7.
So Okay, lucky number 7. Thanks a lot, kids. We'll see ya.